Well, every day on Outside Source, we bring you the main stories from all around the world. Next, the bushfires in Australia. They very much continue. They're being fueled by hot and dry conditions. And remember, this fire season has come earlier and it's been much more severe than in previous years. On top of the news agenda, arguably, is what a group of former senior fire chiefs has been saying about the government's approach to climate change and its contribution to the recent climate talks in Spain.
We have no moral leadership, as we saw in Madrid. The bushfires weren't even mentioned. Other countries were aghast that while Australia burns, our government went over there and argued against tougher emission standards. This has to change.
Well, there's no doubting the severity of what's happening. This is an unprecedented bushfire crisis. You can see we've marked every single fire that's burning all over Australia. The crisis has killed 6 people. It's destroyed more than 700 homes. And these pictures give you an idea of the scale of it too. So this is what's being called the mega blaze. It's destroyed 20 houses near Sydney and has now moved further into the Blue Mountains. That's a popular tourist area west of the city. There's also a lot of focus on this power station. Firefighters are trying to stop this fire reaching it because there are large stockpiles of coal there. And of course, there's a certain irony because coal power is a major contributor of greenhouse gases, which in turn cause climate change. These are pictures from Sydney itself, and they illustrate that over the last few weeks, air quality has sometimes been 20 times worse than would be standard. Doctors are saying that in turn is creating a public health emergency. We don't just need to focus on New South Wales though. These are pictures showing that parts of Western Australia are now being affected. These are shots from north of Perth. Well, these fires are being driven by a number of factors, but the number one is high temperatures. Let me show you a heat map that's been released by Australia's Bureau of Meteorology. This shows temperatures across the country. The dark red, such as here and here, that's where temperatures have reached 39 degrees Celsius or higher. The light brown here, over 42 degrees. Not sure why that jumped on, but let me finish showing you this map because I want to highlight that the darker brown points here is where temperatures have reached 45 degrees or higher, and there is more coming. Record-breaking temperatures are forecast this week. Let's hear from the current fire chief in New South Wales.
There's more than 100 fires burning throughout the state. Any one of them could cause us problems over ensuing days. So whilst we are concerned about this, we also need to keep in mind that there's a lot of communities still very close to fire.
And while all of that's going on, the Prime Minister Scott Morrison is reportedly on holiday, and that's prompted the hashtag "Where the bloody hell are you?" to start trending. That's a reference to this tourism campaign you may well remember with the same slogan. This was launched when Mr Morrison was head of the tourism agency. We've also seen this image shared a lot based on a meme I'm sure you've seen online, but with a twist. Here we have the man surrounded by flames, not just sitting there, but holding a lump of coal and saying, "This is fine." And that's a reference to a moment in 2017 when Scott Morrison brought a lump of coal into Parliament to show his support for the coal industry. Now, Australia is recently ranked as the worst performing on climate policy in a global ranking of 57 countries. That was produced by a number of think tanks who work together to produce it. And I should also show you this because it shows you temperatures in Australia across the last century. And you don't need me to tell you the temperatures have been going up, particularly in the last 25 years. Now, meteorologists are always reluctant to draw a direct line between climate change and one particular weather event. They will, though, tell you that this kind of pattern has been playing out with rising temperatures and that the rising temperatures is being driven by human behaviour. Let's hear from Phil Mercer in Sydney with more on that criticism that's coming from those former fire chiefs.
The finger is well and truly pointed at the centre-right Prime Minister Scott Morrison. He has, in the last couple of weeks, finally acknowledged a link between global warming and Australia's unprecedented bushfire crisis. But this is a country that remains heavily reliant on coal. It generates most of Australia's electricity and it also pumps billions of dollars into the Australian economy. The government here is a very enthusiastic supporter of the coal industry. Those former fire and emergency chiefs say that Australia needs to take the threat posed by climate change far more seriously.